be covering the basic laws as discussed, an outline around everything and why you should be knowing them. So firstly, I think all of you know about the Constitution of India. That is the basic charter, the parent law or the Grundnorm as we say, from which all laws in India derive their power or existence. Right? So the Constitution of India has some fundamental rights. Now, those fundamental rights are justiciable, which means that if the state is the government or the government authorities, they breach your fundamental rights, then you can even go to court to enforce your fundamental rights. That is the strength that the power that the fundamental rights have. And one of the fundamental rights in Article 15 is that the state shall not discriminate between any citizen on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. So that is the general fundamental rights that we have. But it has an exception. So Article 15, subclause 3 says that it confers upon the state the power to make special laws for women and children. So on the first hand, we are saying that it's a fundamental right of every citizen that there should be no discrimination. And then we are making a special exception that for women and children, there can be an exception when we make laws. So there has to be some reason behind it, some rationale or logic behind it. For this, we need to see law and society hand in hand. Because law also, I think I discussed briefly day before, that law and society have to be read together. Because where do we stay in the society? What problems do we face? That we all know. And where do the legislators come from? From the society, they are representatives of the people. So what was the need? Right? So law always needs to be understood with respect to the society, and the society is not equal. The women and children both are vulnerable sections of the society. And when I say children, I don't only mean girl child. I mean children, male or female. They are vulnerable sections, right? So some laws need to be made to protect them. So whenever we read any law, and especially for people who are law students out here, whenever you need any law, you have to first of all read what was the objective with which the law was made. Any bare act you open, the first page is the statements of reasons and objectives of why the law was made. When we read interpretations of statutes, statute means the acts that are made, we read a rule called the mischief rule, which means that what was the mischief or the problem in the society and what was done to remedy the mischief, right? So we always have to see what behind every law, what was the mischief, what was the problem on the society, and why the law was made. That is the object behind making that law. So obviously we all understand that women are not at an equal pedestal in the society. So laws have to be made to either protect them or uplift them, or at least make them feel protected. Give them a remedy if we were not as a society, able to protect her. So special laws are made for women and children and the powers come from the Constitution, Article 15, Clause 3. Now let's discuss some laws in brief, right? First of all, the Hindu Succession Act, 1956. If you people remember, I had talked about the succession laws not being equal, right? So before 1956, if you were a Hindu daughter, you were not entitled to the property of your parents. The son would inherit the property. In 1956, the Parliament enacted the Hindu Succession Act 1956, and after that, sons and daughters were given equal rights in the property of their parents, but the self-acquired property of their parents, which they made from their own money. But I think majority of you understand the concept of HUF, Hindu Undivided Family. It's majorly defined under the taxation laws, but it's very common. You'll see business families operating their businesses under the name of an HUF, right? So till 2005, HUFs were governed with the same concept that the sons will become the co-partners or the members. So 1956, we get equal right in the self-acquired property of the parents. But in 2005, the parliament, amended the act and said, no, even in HUFs, which is majority of the population in India, they inherit from their joint families. So daughters were made co-partners by birth as the sons, right? And they were given the same rights and the same liabilities as that of the son. In India, what is the concept of inheritance? The concept is very simple. My son will take care of my final rights of me in the old age. So that is the concept. I will give my money to my son, and in end, he'll take care of me. Daughter will go to the other house. That's the whole concept, right? So the law said if you have to inherit rights, then you have to inherit liabilities also. So in 2005, daughters were made co-partners by birth, and they had a right in both the assets and the liabilities. Right? Now, again, there has been a constant evolution in the society. Now we have more earning women. Right? I think somebody's mic is on. In case you could please switch it off. Aparna ji, if you could just switch your mic off, there's a little bit of disturbance. Thank you. So there has been a constant evolution in the society. Now women have started making their own money. Now they have started having assets in their names. Although the reality is different, but still, on paper we are making money, and somewhere things are being done on our name, right? So now there is a need for awareness. Why? Because the law is equal now in terms of how you will inherit as a woman. What your parents will give you is clear. The law says equal as that of their sons. But how your parents can be protected, that is not clear as of yet. So that is a lacuna still in the law, although it is pending before the Supreme Court, but still. So for that, now you will inherit from your parents, but what you have made from a hard-earned money, your parents are not first in the line of succession for that. So that is why you should know this law, so that you can plan your estate accordingly and protect your parents in their old age, in case, God forbid, something happens to you before them. Now, the second law that we should all know about is the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. This act came into force in 2005. And we are, I think, the most vulnerable selves in our homes, right? The protective walls that we as women keep out in the world, we drop those and shed those when we are at home. So that is where we need the protection the most. But here the legislature understood two things, which the society has still not understood. Number one, that violence is not only physical. Under the Domestic Violence Act, they include physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and economic abuse. In my experience, I've seen so many women don't leave toxic relationships because what will they do once they step out of that house? What will they do once they speak up? So the law understands that. The legislature said, no, all these are forms of abuse. And if you've suffered them, then you can always come under this act for protection. And the second thing was that the domestic violence is not only committed on a wife. What is the general perception? The general perception is a wife being beaten black and blue. Whenever you read articles on domestic violence, you will see a wife, all black and blue, like this, as in physical violence has been committed. But the legislature said, why? Our sisters not abused. Our mothers, daughter-in-laws not abused. So that the law understood. So society thinks that only wife is beaten and only physical violence is violence. On the other hand, law says no. All female relatives who live in the shared household or under the roof, and violence of every kind, even if you are not giving the money to the woman for survival. And we'll discuss the details of the abuse in the definite lecture. But even that is abuse, because that is something which stops you from moving out or speaking up, because we understand jiske paas paisa hai, that is where the power is, right? Now, after your household, where are you the most? I think we are not also in our houses the most. At least if I talk about myself, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., I am at my workplace. Most of you, I think. Second, we'll be commuting and they will be on the road. And we only go home for sleeping, most of us. So the most time that we spend is in our workplaces. And obviously, especially when the society doesn't make us feel safe, that is one place where equity, as we say, balance is a part of that. Protection in the workforce is a part of that, right? So then there is the sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition.
You are not
Excuse me,
audible,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I think you're not audible and your mouth.
Just a second. Yes, now I'm audible. I think some auto settings. Abhida, just see when you auto set, don't switch my mic off. Yeah. Uh, okay.
Yes,
So
yes,
where
ma'am.
was
I'm
I
sorry.
when you people stopped hearing? Just give me a cue. Where should I restart from? Should I start from the beginning of
So starting with
Post
that.
that work.
9 to 9, 9 to 9, after 9 to 9.
after
After 9
9
to
to
9.
9? Okay.
Yeah.
So we okay, great. So majority of the times we are at our workplaces. So for there to be equity or there to women to be more participating in the workplaces, that is a place we should be feeling the most safe after our homes, right? So there is this sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition, and redressal act 2013. So first you prevent, try to prevent. If you couldn't prevent, at least try to prohibit. If not, then at least give them some redressal. That is the whole concept of the act. It came into force in 2013. It's also called the POSH Act. A lot of you might have heard of the term POSH, right? And I think one of you was a ICC member also, external ICC member as well, right? So it's all about when you face sexual harassment at workplace. Now, when somebody asks, what is sexual harassment? It's a very difficult term to understand, and a lot of, especially men, would come and ask, how will we know if she's feeling unsafe? Why is she feeling like this? I had good intentions. I don't know what the problem is. A lot of them say, and then, now there's sometimes they'll joke around saying, we'll not even talk to her. I don't know when she'll level posh allegations against me. So that is something that is there. So it is very simple, okay, in general terms. If you ask technically, sexual harassment would be unwelcome gestures, unwelcome conduct, unwelcome, sexual demands for sexual favors, touching. But in general, if you ask me, it's all about consent. Was she feeling comfortable? Was she not feeling comfortable? As simple as that. Your work buddies, you come and hug each other, and if the girl is okay with it, it's not harassment. You even are gazing at her and she feels uncomfortable, she tells you not to do it, but you as a matter of habit do it. That is harassment. So it is as simple as that. Anything which does not feel right to the woman, she is not comfortable, it is harassment. Simple. Now, who can be an aggrieved person or a victim? The act says, defines a victim in two areas. One, workplace. Second, house. So, in relation to a workplace, the act says any woman of any age, there is no minimum or maximum limit of age, who, whether is employed or not. So, it's not only limited to employees, your visitors, your customers, even when relatives visit somebody else's workplace, your friends visit. So, any visitor, your volunteers in NGOs, they are also there. They're also susceptible to being harassed. So, they are also covered. who alleges to have been subjected to harassment. So firstly, only women are protected. Secondly, they must allege that we are being harassed. And thirdly, it's not only limited to employees. It can be any person. And fourthly, there is no age limit. As simple as that. Now, who can be the respondent or, the perpetrator? It is, yes, this act protects the woman, but the perpetrator or the aggressor, can be any person. It can be a male, it can be a female. If a female is harassing another female, then a posh complaint can be against her as well. Because a lot of times, it's not necessary that violence against women in any form is done only by men. Right? Secondly, this was with relation to a workplace. Now, with relation to a house or a dwelling house. In relation to a dwelling house, an aggrieved person again can be a woman only. Again, no age limit. But this time, she should be employed. Why? In your house, if you allege sexual harassment, then you can go under the Domestic Violence Act or go to a police. But here, only employees, like your house helps, your children's nannies. For them, your house is their workplace, right? So what happens if they are subjected to sexual harassment at your house? Right? Now, every every organization having 10 or more employees, it is mandatory to have an internal complaints committee where the victim would go and complain either orally or in writing, and there's this whole procedure going. But what happens in organizations which are small sized, where there are not 10 employees? What happens there? So there are local complaints committees in your districts. You can go and complain there. Secondly, where will your house help or your child's nanny go? Your house does not have an internal complaints committee. So they can also go in the local complaints committee. And more importantly, your right to go to the police under Indian Penal Code and now BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, that will be applicable from July, that right still exists. This is a separate remedy. Your right to go to the police cannot be curbed. Right? Because a lot of times people say that now you've gone under the POSH Act, why are you going to the police? That's a separate right. Now, a lot of us are these days working from home. So we are not going to an official setup for office setup. So are we still covered under the POSH Act? This question became very prominent recently when work from home was being promoted more and more. So the Rajasthan High Court in Sanjeev Mishra versus Bank of Baroda, has widened the scope of the term workplace. And now it includes online harassment as well. Say we are having this session. You are sitting somewhere else, I'm sitting somewhere else. If either one of us face any kind of harassment even on screen, if there is somebody not sitting decently or, you understand. So even that is covered under workplace harassment. I'm at my workplace at the moment and you are visitors to that workplace. Right? So this is in brief the POSH Act. So we've discussed.
Ma'am, can you repeat this act again? Sanjeev, which you said, Bank of Baroda.
Judgment?
Yeah.
Sanjeev Mishra versus Bank of Baroda. It was a Rajasthan High Court judgment. And this is one of the judgments. Once one point of law is cleared, then there are various judgments that different courts interpret.
I hope the materials will be getting, all these acts will be there mentioned.
In the case.
Sorry?
The materials, study materials which we are supposed to get, all these acts will be mentioned there.
Look, I'll take this point quickly before proceeding. I believe that if you are with me in this session of 100%, you will not need any study material. I will go with you as per your speed. Because, I have seen whenever you give a study material or you put on slides or you do whatever, people try to read that and not listen. So I go as per your speed. And in case you people have queries, I'm open to that. And in case you people want these case laws or whatever, you can always ask. We'll take them in the end, right? But please, without any preconceived notions, just be here 100%, and you'll understand whatever I'm saying. If not, the question answer round is always there. But just leave all your preconceived notions aside.
No, not now. It's okay. We are with the class, but I'm saying later, after the sessions
If
are
you
over.
want, you can ask for the judgments. I'll provide them.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Now we continue. The next is, you have heard of a thing called FIR, First Information Report. Whenever you go, whenever you witness some crime or some crime has been committed against you, you go and file an FIR, right? So if you want to file, then you go to the police station. They'll either listen to you orally and write it down, or ask you for it in writing, and they'll register it. That is the ideal world. We don't live in an ideal world. So what do? Number one, always go with a written complaint. If possible, get it drafted professionally with all the sections and what you should say, what you should not say, what you should. I'm not advocating. I'm not advocating the fact that you should lie. No, the more you lie initially, the later your case will become weak. Don't do it. But at least the way it is written, be very careful about it, right? And if you give it in writing, then you don't leave it to the discretion of the police officer on what to do about it. So always give it in writing. And secondly, carry a copy with you and take a receiving on the copy from the police, because in Delhi they do, but in a lot of states I've seen they are very reluctant to give even a receiving. So they'll give you a DD number or a daily diary number that we've written your complaint. They'll write a complaint, not an FIR. They'll write a complaint and they'll give you a daily diary number of it. That is your receiving, which you have to keep in mind. Now, the next step is the police should investigate, the police should register an FIR. What if the police does not do anything around it? Then you escalate the matter to the superintendent of police of that area by post, by courier or post. Speed post is always preferred. You say that this is the complaint I had filed. The police has not taken any action on this date. I had filed this complaint and now I'm escalating to you. These are the only basics required along with the complaint. What if the SP also doesn't do anything? Then finally you have to go to the magistrate. And if the magistrate is satisfied that an FIR should be registered, then they will direct the police to register an FIR. But normally in heinous offences, police registers FIR. Where the police is worried that you are trying to settle some civil cases score of property or some other thing, then they are reluctant, especially in family matters. So that is how your FIR's procedure goes. Now, let's come back to more personal at home. Dowry. I think all of us know what dowry means. In Hindi, it is called Dahej. I don't know what local colloquial terms you people use, but dowry is a very common word. So dowry means any property or valuable security, that is, which can be converted into money, is given or agreed to be given by either the parties that are getting married, that are bride or the groom, or the parents, or say somebody else to the parties to the marriage. So this is dowry. In short, exchange of money. But did you know that customary gifts, that is gifts which are there in your custom, which are regular in your custom, are not included in the definition of dowry? So a lot of times, like I'm a Punjabi, in us, there is something called a milni, which is when the groom's side would enter the marriage venue, they would, both the males of both the families would hug each other, and the bride's relatives would give cash or gold or silver or gifts as per their status to the groom's family. Now, these are customs. So you could take whatever you want in the name of customs and you could get away with it. So that is again a loophole that you need to know. Now, but do you think giving or taking dowry at the time of marriage ends the problem? I feel it just starts there. Because the harassment starts from there for further runs of it. So the law says that if you harass your daughter-in-law for dowry, then there's a section called Section 498A of the IPC. And if there is dowry death, if there is death, it has a consequence of the harassment, then it's called dowry death. It's 304B IPC. Right? So in these cases, these are offenses punishable by law, where you can even end up in jail time. But again, why drafting is important. A lot of times I see that when you complain, you say these and these customary gifts of jewelry, this was given. Now, customary gifts is an exception. So you are making them go scot-free just by writing in an incorrect manner. Because I personally feel, what is a gift? Gift means exchange between two parties. That is what gift means. What are the chances that gift is only flowing from the bride's family to the groom's family, and then we call them gifts as per our customs? So it is dowry in the guise of gifts, and that is how it needs to be mentioned in your complaint, in case there needs to be. Now let's come to sexual relationships in a marriage. Of course, marriage means that there'll be cohabitation between husband and wife. But does that mean that one party has the right to breach the privacy of the other person in the form of a rape? Marital rape, I think it's a lot in discussion these days. But unfortunately, it's still not an offense in India. What does this mean? It means that if a husband violates the wife and commits a rape on his own wife, if he does it to a third person or a woman, then he'll end up in jail for it, and even bail will become a problem. But if he does it to his own wife, then the law says we can't do anything around it. It was violent, the wife was not okay with it, but unfortunately it's not an offense. But what we need to keep in mind is that although your husband cannot end up in jail because of it, it is still a ground for divorce. You can ask for a divorce on the grounds of cruelty, and the grounds being that he rapes me. And that is a very good ground for divorce. So the law cannot tell you, I'll not send this person to jail. The law cannot tell you, you have to live with this person for your whole life, and I won't grant a divorce even if he rapes you. And secondly, it is a sexual abuse under the definition of the Domestic Violence Act. Domestic Violence Act, I'll take up the entire law in the next lecture. I'll cover each and everything. So, marital rape, you can't send him to jail, but you can take a divorce from him and you can file a complaint under the Domestic Violence Act. These are the two things you can do. Unfortunately, till now we are fighting that it should be a crime as well. Now, what do you think stops somebody from leaving a marriage or any relationship for that matter? I feel it is lack of course, self-esteem, that we'll be able to live independently in this world. It's stressed, every day that you'll be alone, right? But most importantly, it's the lack of being self-sufficient financially. That is a huge, huge point why women don't exit. So you understand the concept of maintenance? Maintenance, everybody knows here. It's monthly payment for living expenses, etc. So although I believe that, I hope the next generation of women, we don't have to fight maintenance cases for, because they are self-sufficient. But till now, then you have to know what the law is all about. So because I have so many times, Priyanka, 125, except for 125 CRPC, also maintenance is covered under various acts, and I'll be covering those, right? So a lot of times I see women who are in the top-notch corporate positions and who've either had to leave it after marriage or after a child, or sometimes they are still in the job, but still they are not financially secure because the whole money goes to the husband or the in-laws. That is also a position. So when they separate, they still have to ask the court for maintenance because they still don't have anything in their bank account despite being on well-paid corporate positions. So there are various laws in India which govern maintenance. You have so many of them. So let's cover them in brief today. The Domestic Violence Act. So if you are an aggrieved woman, right? If you're an aggrieved woman, now that can be any female relative. If you're a sister, mother, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, anything, wife, obviously, even live-in partner, and you go under the Domestic Violence Act and you say, I'm unable to maintain myself, then you can ask for maintenance under the Domestic Violence Act. Number one. Number two, in case of Hindu women can ask for maintenance under Hindu laws. Now, there are two laws, Hindu Marriage Act and Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Both of them have separate provisions for maintenance. But this is available only to wife, not to other relatives. This, just a second. Hello?
Participants, whatever queries you have, please put it on the chat box. Don't raise hands now. Do it in the last. And also, please rename yourselves because we're not able to put the attendance for that. There is Dance Divine and your name is not that. So please change your name so that it is easy for us to do it. The names that you have given while filling the form.
Sorry guys, there was a call. Yeah, so I think we were under the Hindu law. So the Hindu law has two laws, two acts, Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, right? So majorly in Hindu Marriage Act, this here also in case of females, wife is protected. Hindu Marriage Act. Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, there's a provision for daughter-in-law, we'll cover. Now, there comes section 125 CRPC, which I think someone mentioned also. Now, this is, I think, the most important section because this is for early relief. This is not on merits much. This is on early, immediate relief. Second, this is a secular provision. It applies to people of all religions. Third, this right gives right to maintenance to even a live-in partner. It gives a right to a divorced wife. Even when your marriage is over, you can ask for maintenance under this law. It gives a right to parents. If your parents are unable to maintain yourself and you are not paying them, then even they can approach the court and ask for maintenance. Now, earlier, this debate was there that whether only the parents of a son are entitled. So the Supreme Court said no. Parents of both a son and a daughter are entitled to be maintained by their respective children. And last, even children are entitled. So your wife, divorced wife, live-in partner, parents, children, women of any religion are entitled to maintenance under 125 CRPC. Now, what about, let's take 2-3 examples, random questions, right? Can a second wife of a Hindu be entitled to maintenance under CRPC? 125 CRPC? Shruti says no. Anybody else? Sanjana Reji said yes. Anyone else?
Amen.
ST Jyoti says no, no idea. Okay. A lot of you are saying no. And the answer is no. Now I'll change the question. What about second wife in a Muslim marriage? Are they entitled to maintenance? Yes or no, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Why? Because in India, for Hindus, second marriage is not legal. So she's not technically a wife. And for Muslims, up to 4 marriage, it is legal. So she is technically a wife. So a wife is entitled to maintenance. But in Hindus, the second wife is not a wife in the eyes of law. That is why she's not entitled. Right? Now let's come to a topic which a lot of times, this question I get asked from young people a lot. And that is live-in relationships. Rights of women in live-in relationships. So although there is no definition or no act for it, there is no live-in relationship act. Till now, we don't have, the parliament has not made any act around it. But the Supreme Court always, rises to the occasion all the time. And the Supreme Court has understood that the society is in need. The people are going in for it, right? So the Supreme Court has said that if two people are living together for a considerably long amount of time, and they project to the world as if they are a husband and wife, then the wife is entitled to maintenance and she'll get all the remedies. So there is no legal relationship, there is no act. But if I have to summarize what exactly will constitute a live-in relationship, so it will be when there is an arrangement between two people that they will live together. I said two people, not men and women, because as we all know, two people of the same sex can also live together as live-in partners. Although for marriage, it has to be a man and a woman, right? Two people who live together, who have an arrangement in a long-term relationship, not a walk-in, walk-out marriage or a weekend relationship, or say not your regular girlfriend, boyfriend who will meet in the day, go to their respective places at night. No, you have to live together under one roof for a considerably long amount of time, and the relationship should resemble marriage. So technically, the only difference will be the ceremonies that are performed in the marriage. Otherwise, you're living together as husband and wife or as partners. So Supreme Court has given some essential ingredients for a relationship to constitute a live-in relationship. Number one would be, it is a reasonable time of cohabitation or living together. So again, as I said, no walk-in, walk-out, no weekends, no living under different roofs. Second, both of them must be adults. In marriage, the girl's age should be 18 years, the boy's age should be 21 years. That is the legal age for marriage in India. But in live-in relationships, they should be adults. That is 18 years. That is a difference. Then there should be a shared household, which means they should live under the same roof. Then they should combine their resources, say bank accounts, paying rent together, making investments together, having bills together. So that should be the resemblance. And last, their intention should be to let the world know that we are in a relationship. You're not in a hush-hush relationship. You let the world know we are in a relationship. So technically, the only thing that was left was you didn't take your customary, either your 7 feras or your kalma according to your Muslim Islam, or you didn't go to the church. No. Apart from that, you're actually living like a husband and wife only. That is why children from such marriage are legitimate children. You can't say that, people were living in together and then the children become illegitimate. No, they are legitimate children. And the first time live-in relationship was acknowledged was in 2005 in the Domestic Violence Act. Otherwise, any other act, we don't have the term live-in relationship, live-in partners. The Domestic Violence Act, back in the year 2005, when even the society was technically not really ready to accept this term, they said that what will happen if a woman who is living in a live-in relationship is sexually assaulted or is beaten up, where will she go? So that is why they protected even a live-in partner as a victim in that and gave her the remedies. So that's why I say Parliament was way ahead of time. In 2005, they understood that. So some cases, let's discuss. So in F. Khushbu versus Kanyamal, Supreme Court held that live-in relationships come within the ambit of Article 21, which is right to life and personal liberty. Everybody has the right to live as per their requirement, right? And the living together of two consenting adults. That's the key operative term. Consent should be there and they should be adults. Cannot be considered illegal or unlawful, because all of you, I think, must have heard cases where minors get into a relationship and the parents go to the police against the boy. So here there should be a minimum of 2 consenting adults. And one more important thing for a live-in relationship to be legal is one of them should not be married. You can't be cheating on your wife and telling, or your husband, and telling the world that I have the right to be in a live-in relationship. When you don't have the right to have a second marriage, you're also not having the right to call it a live-in relationship and clothing the children with legitimacy. So you have to be unmarried. That's also another requirement.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, Sakshi?
मैम अडल्ट्री तो वैसे डिक्रिमिनलाइज हो गई है और वो हट भी गई है, तो फिर मतलब तो फिर तो एक नॉर्मल है कि अगर आप मतलब आप
But
वाइफ
adultery आज भी ground for divorce है. और आपकी अडल्ट्री आपको राइट नहीं देती शादी में दूसरी किसी को पार्टनर को लाने का. और अडल्ट्री को लास्ट में याद दिलाना है, इसको जरूर एड्रेस करेंगे कि वो डीक्रिमिनलाइज क्यों हुई है. इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग दैट होल थिंग, राइट? जस्ट रिमाइंड मी in the end. So now again let's recap. Which genders can be there? So marriage में, as we discussed, only a marriage can be between a man and a woman, but live-in relationship now can be between people of any gender. Then in 2005, even live-in partners were introduced. It was the first time live-in partner term was introduced in any law under the Domestic Violence Act. They said that even a live-in partner is she can file a complaint in case she is violated. Then the Supreme Court also held that live-in relationships are children in women in a live-in relationship are equally entitled to all the claims and reliefs which are available to a live-in to a legally wedded wife. That is why, like 125 CRPC maintenance, she is liable. She can take that. She can claim the maintenance. And then Supreme Court also said that if a man and a woman are living under the same roof, under the same roof, and they've been cohabiting for years, there will be a presumption that they are married, and the children born out of such relationship will be legitimate. Courts try their level best not to call children illegitimate. They try their level best to clothe children with legitimacy.
Ma'am,
Can
sorry
we finish and then I'll take the question?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So they try their level best to clothe children with legitimacy, and I'll tell you why. Because legitimacy of the children is, I think, the most important thing why people get married. Society, what will society do in case you're not married? Either have problems with the woman or the children. Secondly, illegitimate children do not have rights over the ancestral property of the father. They will not inherit from the father's ancestral property. And those are the reasons why, and obviously how the society treats them, we all know. So that is why the Supreme Court tries time and again to, clothe children with legitimacy. Now, some basic things that, you people should remember. I'll take these, and after that, we'll open for questions. So if anything goes wrong, you go to the police station. That's our first resort. कि कुछ भी होगा पुलिस के पास जाएंगे, right? A lot of times you don't even feel safe going to the police. And especially with women, I've seen they don't want to go to the police. That's the first reaction. So we need to understand a few rights that are available with us. So in case a woman has to be arrested, it should be in the presence of a female police officer. That's the first thing. Second, there is no necessity of actually touching and confining the woman. You know, that handcuffing or catching hold of the woman like this. No. If she is orally submitting, she's saying, okay, this is the thing, I'll go with you. Then you don't need to actually touch and drag her. That's a right you must know. But a lot of times you don't know about it. Then a woman shall not be arrested after sunset and before sunrise. From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Women should not be taken to the police station. Basic reason, women are not safe even in the daytime in police stations. Right? So what about them at night? So for protecting that, this is a rule. And you can, if in case the police does this, then you can obviously object to it later in court. Then, what if the police says, no, but it's urgent, otherwise the woman will flee or go away? What will we do in that? In that case also, they have to first show you a permission from the judicial magistrate first class that there's an urgency, otherwise we will suffer a loss and this woman will, flee. So even in that case, you need to see whether they have a prior permission. Now, in case, what if a woman is concealing something in her clothes or in her thing? Then even in that regard, the checking will be done by a woman, and the checking will be done with strict regard to decency. That is why you see in malls, in every public area, the woman area is covered where you're checked. That is because the law says you can't be checked with indecency. And in case a woman, chalo theek hai, things have happened to you. In case a woman needs to give information to the police regarding some heinous offense that has taken place against her, say rape or molestation or outraging the modesty of women, in these cases, the statement will be recorded by a woman police officer. So out and out, basically, your first point of contact has to be a woman police officer. And then they have to follow basic principles of decency. In every case, even if you are considered to be an accused. Of course, we are talking on paper. In reality, yes, things go off. But then even if you don't know the basics, you will not be able to help yourself around it. So obviously, that is why knowledge is important. And whenever you see such things happening, even to others around it, support and speak up. I think we should be more open to helping our tribe. Let's protect them, right? अच्छा, जेंडर न्यूट्रल, व्हाई लॉज आर जेंडर न्यूट्रल, आज कवर करें या अभी क्वेश्चंस लें? क्या करें अभी तक? टाइम का क्या सिचुएशन?
Ma'am, we have 13 minutes.
So I think let's get questions and then
there are so many queries that they have.
So many queries, let's take them. So we'll cover later कि why laws are not gender equal. इसका मैं एक basic one liner दे देती हूँ. Laws are not gender neutral because society is not gender neutral. The day we become equal, there is equity and we are standing on the same social pedestal, laws will stop protecting women. And hopefully, I think that day should come soon. Let's hope for it. So I think let's open Abhita to questions. And I think somebody had a query around adultery, right?
Yes.
So I'll take that. Adultery, when it was a crime, it was an offense by a man against a man. There was no woman in the equation. You know how? If a man is cheating with a woman, of course, he'll be having relationships with a woman. The case could have been filed by the husband of the woman who was cheating against not the woman, not the cheating wife, against the man she was cheating with. And secondly, that man who was cheating, his wife did not have the right to file the case. So women were either, you would say, treated as juveniles or under 18s, or treated as having no authority. So the woman who is cheating cannot go to jail. The man who is cheating, his wife cannot file a case against him. Case will be filed by the cheating woman's husband against the cheating man. What is the logic behind it? So adultery. Now, secondly, adultery, they say that it is not a criminal act. It's not an offense against the state. It's an offense against the marriage. And in case your partner is cheating against you, then you can file a divorce against the same. That is the whole concept behind adultery getting decriminalized. It's still a ground for divorce. I think, Sakshi, the question has been answered.
Yes, ma'am, understood.
Okay, great. Yes, Amita.
And there is this person called SSST Mind Life. So they've asked us divorce is the only way to protect from marital rape. So kind request, please change your name, and this is not acceptable for the attendance. Your attendance will be lost.
Okay, so I'll take the question. They can worry about the attendance later. So divorce, look, rape is what? When you are not consenting for the relationship, be it marital or any other. So if you don't want to get raped, there are only three ways. One is you say no. If your husband, your family supports the whole concept, then you can be saved from it. The second is, if you don't want to live with a raping partner, then you file for a divorce. And the third, there are situations where the women say, but I don't want the tag of being a divorcee. That tag, because in India, the tag is a problem. So you can start living separately without getting divorced. Either you can simply shift out of the house, or the husband can be thrown out of the house, either way. And or you can go to the court and ask for a judicial separation, which means that I'm not technically a divorce person, but then the whole things that I don't have obligations towards him, he doesn't have obligations towards me, and we are judicially separated, but tag nahi laga. And third is you can file a domestic violence case and say that I'm being sexually abused in this marriage and I need a protection order and a residence order. Protection order would be that this man should not commit any further violence against me. And residence order would be that this is my marital home and I need to stay here peacefully. Either this man should withdraw from this entire place or he should not disturb me and not enter the part I am living in. So either you go and get divorced or you get judicially separated, or and domestic violence case can be filed either way, or you ask for a protection order. But it's always better to file for a divorce because you anyway don't want to live with a person who is raping. But to each its own.
Thank you, ma'am, for your response. So there is a question from Pallavi, ma'am. If a man and women are staying separately for more than 7 to 8 years, is that still termed as marriage or it's automatic divorce?
No, it's not automatic divorce. If your husband or wife is missing, the term is not living separately. The term is missing for 7 or more years. And missing means nobody has heard of him or her. Like we see in Bollywood movies, now the husband is declared dead and then suddenly that person will come back and by the time the wife is married again. That kind of missing, where the world presumes that that person is dead. In that case, after 7 years, you get a right to apply for divorce. That my partner is missing. Please grant me a divorce because we presume that he or she is dead. But that does not mean automatic divorce. If the person returns, your marriage is still there. And your second marriage, if you've married again, then that will be null and void. So it's not automatic divorce.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And again, Pallavi ma'am has asked, can we justify gender violence in any case?
We cannot justify any violence in any case. Gender is only a part of it. We cannot justify any violence. That is why I said marital rape should be an offense. We cannot justify. I think somebody had another query with regard to domestic violence and zero FIR. But chalo, you can take questions in sequence you have.
Yeah, what if fake dowry case is filed? How a man can save himself from such
Okay.
fake cases?
Fake dowry cases or any fake case, the only way is to fight it out. You can have your evidences. The other person will file his or her evidences. You can file yours. The only thing is, if you have made expenses during the wedding or if you've not taken any dowry, then you keep receipts for it. But at the end, in practicality, cases are in court fought on merits. And anyway, these days, even genuine complainants, genuine victims are not getting relief in the criminal law. Because in criminal law, the basis is you have to prove your case beyond any doubt. And you know how the police investigates. And the cases filed by women are fought by the police and the public prosecutors. So that is the whole problem. But anyway, on merits, the only way is to be as vigilant as possible, both for men and women. The problem is a lot of time people will come to us, we can tell you the law, but the evidence you have to get and you don't have any. Some people have even blocked out those memories from their head. So they actually forget of what had happened in that period. That's a basic human response to trauma. That is also a problem. Then we see the other side and wahan se pata chalta hai ye incident so hame pata hi nahi. That is why client counseling and repeatedly talking to your client comes into picture.
So in such cases, even burden of proof is on the accused and they have to show the evidence.
No. in criminal law, the burden of proving guilt is always on the prosecution.
So, ma'am, it's for the dowry case and domestic violence act.
नहीं, but in general वहां भी आपको कन्विक्ट नहीं करेंगे अगर प्रोसिक्यूशन प्रूव नहीं कर पाया. इट्स ओनली PMLA, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एक्ट, जो नया आया है, जिसमें गिल्ट आप प्रूव करो कि मैं गिल्टी नहीं हूं. वरना हमारा बेसिक प्रिंसिपल ही लॉ का ये कहता है, क्रिमिनल लॉ का, दैट assume that the person is innocent until proven guilty. आपका डाउरी एंड ऑल में एक एक्सेप्शन माना जाता था, बट इफ यू सी द जजमेंट्स दीज डेज, the teeth of the law have gone down because of, as they say, fake cases or women who could not prove their cases. I'm not saying all cases were fake. A lot of times women give up on the cases. They say whatever settlement money I'm getting, I'll take it and I'll, withdraw the case. And that also becomes a problem. Next.
So I think Gurnaz ma'am is raising her hand. You can go now, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Guna.
According to NCRB reports, the 50% of false cases were the withdrawn cases, जो पुलिस स्टेशन लेवल पे ही खत्म हो गए. और मतलब there are laws for women, but they are only on paper. There is no implementation of law, proper implementation of law.
Gurnas, the thing is, there are a lot of laws for women or for any person in general. And initially, when any law comes, any new law comes, there's a lot of use and a lot of misuse. And then slowly and steadily, the courts start to decipher between the two. But are these laws totally not helpful? I don't agree. A lot of times, women get, as I said, DV, the Domestic Violence Act, they actually get the house they are living in for at least 10 years till the case is going on. They get maintenance. The husband these days doesn't go to jail that often because over a period of time, courts have realized that false cases are a lot. So initially, when the law came into force, the husband would be put in jail right and then, and they would not be given bail. Then slowly, the bail jurisprudence became that court said, don't put the person in jail at least. But does that mean these laws have zero teeth? No. They might be slow. For some people, they might be ineffective, but I'm telling you, they have helped a lot of women as well. But the first and foremost, I'm telling for any person, and you should know which law you have to go under. Na? You have to know the strategy, what your case, according to your own case. That's also needed. But yes, a lot of times that cases you're saying, withdrawn cases, they are after taking a lot of alimony. So it's not that kuch nahi milta. It's just that sometimes as a victim, you want this person should go to jail. And if that doesn't happen, then you'd say, I've not got justice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I think there are more questions. Abhita, we can take 5-10 minutes, sir?
Yes, I think there are people who are eligible for the other session also, because that starts
if
from
they want,
7:30.
if they want, you can take their questions first, and I would like to answer as many as possible.
Yeah, people who want to leave at 7:30, please do ask your questions one by one.
गुड इवनिंग मैम.
गुड इवनिंग प्रेम जी.
मैम, आपने बोला कि अगर कोई लिव इन रिलेशनशिप में रहते हैं कपल, तो कुछ टाइम के बाद कोर्ट ये कंसीडर करती है कि ये मैरिड कपल है, और अगर कोई चाइल्ड उस मैरिज से हो रहा है तो वो लेजिटिमेट चाइल्ड माना जाता है. तो ऐसा कोई लीगल प्रोविजन है या फिर कोर्ट के जजमेंट्स के बेसिस पे ये सेट हो गया?
एज आई सेड प्रियम जी, लिव इन रिलेशनशिप पे अभी तक कोई एक्ट नहीं आया है. ये ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम सुप्रीम कोर्ट की बहुत सारी जजमेंट्स हैं जिन्होंने लिव इन रिलेशनशिप के डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स को कंसिडर करके उसको इंटरप्रेट किया है. एक्ट लिव इन रिलेशनशिप पे कोई नहीं है. पर आप प्रिजम्पशन ऑफ मैरिज कह रहे हो, दैट इज आई थिंक सेक्शन 114B ऑफ एविडेंस एक्ट. वो प्रिजम्पशन की बात करता है कि अगर 114B है, आई थिंक. जस्ट अ सेकंड, आई चेक. I think it is 114B, but I'll still let you know. Okay? Till then, but that is only for presumption of marriage. Otherwise, Supreme Court judgments हैं which are talking about it.
और कोई जजमेंट, आप जजमेंट के बारे में बता रही थी कि कोई लैंडमार्क जजमेंट इस मैटर से रिलेटेड हो.
Specific, keeping the specific thing in mind.
हाँ, जैसे मतलब कि कोर्ट ये बोल रहा है कि ये अगर कोई कपल इतने टाइम तक लिव इन में रह रहे हैं जैसा आपने बताया, तो कोई ऐसा जजमेंट है, कोई लैंडमार्क जजमेंट या फिर जो फर्स्ट जजमेंट हो इस पे?
You can try and read Chanmunia versus Virendra Kumar Singh Kushwaha. ये आप रीड कर सकते हो.
मैम रिपीट कीजिए, मैम रिपीट
एक बार आप रिपीट कर दीजिए.
Chanmunia, CHANMUNIYA versus Virendra Kumar Singh Kushwaha. You can read this judgment. Then on legitimacy of children, you can read SPS Bala Subramaniam versus Surutoyan, SURUTTAYAN.
मैम रिपीट कीजिए फिर से. SPS.
SPS.
Okay.
And
Bala
versus Subramaniam versus Surutayan. These are some. You will find multiple. जब वो depend करता है, actually whenever you read a judgment, there are two reasons why you should read a judgment. A, you want to know what the law says. That is for lay people and for general. But when you are going into a specific case which is going on in court, any judgment you quote has to be, first you see the law point, then you see, is it with consonant to the facts of your case? Were the facts of that case and the facts of your case same? That is how we narrow down on judgments, and that is what legal research is all about. But for general public, this is good.
Ma'am, is there any site where I can get all these things? And because I am a layman, I am not from
Google
the
it.
legal background.
Google it.
Only Google.
Only Google. Otherwise, go to Supreme Court of India's website.
Okay.
Right? But Google it. You will get your answers. Okay. So, anyone else?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Please raise your hand so one can go. The people who have raised is Taranya ma'am, then Neha ma'am, then Akanksha ma'am, please. Taranya ma'am, please go.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I have a doubt that can a man ask for maintenance after divorce?
Okay. So, we discussed at least 5-6 laws. It is only the Hindu Marriage Act. If it's a Hindu man and a Hindu woman married under the Hindu customs, in that case, the man can also be entitled to maintenance and alimony. Otherwise, in all other laws, only women are protected.
Okay, ma'am.
Anyone else? Let's start.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
Yes, Taranyaji, please.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I have a doubt on what basis whether you will distinct that this case is the female which has produced the case is being fake or not, that is false or not. Like on what grounds, ma'am?
The merits of her. The evidence she produces, the evidence the accused person or the male produces, the testimony, when the courts will, when she will give her be a witness, when she'll give her statement, and there'll be a cross-examination by the opposite counsel or advocate. Is she faltering? Is the opposite counsel able to, make her deviate from her statement? So these are a few things which determine whether a case is true or false. Majorly evidence and your witnesses.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, another one question, ma'am. In Hindu concept, if a person gets permission from the first wife and gets married to the second wife, whether this becomes valid or it will be not valid? No. Okay, ma'am.
No. Okay. Only a first marriage. You have to divorce the first wife to get married again.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, Arurya Sharma. Yes.
Ma'am, Ayurya.
Ayurya.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Please.
Ma'am, if a man is fulfilling all his duties and responsibilities regarding her wife, but due to all the antics and negative behavior towards her husband, on what grounds the divorce can be filed?
By the wife or the husband?
Ma'am, husband.
That she is cruel, that she is inflicting mental cruelty on the husband, physical cruelty on the husband, not treating the parents of the husband nicely, not wanting him to live separately with her from his parents. In short, cruelty of any kind, be it physical, be it mental, be it emotional, any kind, that you can go under cruelty.
Okay, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Akansha.
Ma'am, actually, I wanted to ask that if, ma'am, is zero FIR applicable for all the cases of domestic violence?
Domestic violence, Akanksha, is although CRPC applies to it, but it is more of a civil case. It's not a criminal case. And zero FIR will be when you go to the police to file a complaint, right? Uh, so domestic violence goes, it is a civil law which has criminal teeth, which means that all your reliefs that you're asking, be it a house, be it protection, be it maintenance, they're all civil remedies. The only thing is you can only call it criminal to the sense that if the husband does not follow court orders, then he can be sentenced to some prison time. Otherwise, zero FIR is not for domestic violence. Domestic violence case, you have to go to the magistrate directly, to the court directly, or to say your protection officer or others. Zero FIR can be for your dowry harassment. 498A जिसे कहते हैं. For other offences against women, heinous ones. Zero FIR is nothing, but when you go to a police station and they say this does not come under our jurisdiction, you go to this police station, then the next police station will say you go to this police station. So you can go to the police and say, I am a woman, this is the offense committed against me. Either you have jurisdiction or not, that is your problem. You write the FIR down and you give it the number 0. So it will be 0/2024. And you can transfer this to the respective police station. That is the concept of zero FIR. And domestic violence is a civil thing. It's not a criminal case.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome, Akanksha. I think Gurnaz again has a question.
Ma'am, if wife doesn't want to live with husband's family, is that considered cruelty?
If the husband is able to prove that that is causing cruelty to him, yes, there are judgments around it.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Shruti ji.
Ma'am, earlier when Gurnaaz ma'am raised a question about the fake cases, where the FIRs are basically fake, I also want to raise a question.
Yes.
There are so many cases we are seeing right now about the fake cases where men are accused. Isn't it kind of assault on them?
Men are accused of fake cases?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you are able to prove that the case was fake, but you have to go through the whole court process, of course. But if you are able to prove to the court that you are innocent and it was a fake case, then that is cruelty. You can even file for defamation. That you can even file for defamation. That my respect among people who knew me has gone down because of this fake case.
Of course, ma'am. But does women get punishment equal to men? Like there are no certain laws about that.
In general, courts do not punish women, and in general, even men do not complain. They are just happy that they are acquitted. But there has been a recent instance where the court actually punished the woman for a false rape case for equal time of which the man was undergoing the prison time. कि अगर man,
Is it wrong?
Of course it is wrong. But the thing is,
they should.
But Shruti, the thing is, that does not mean that there should be no law around it. The problem is, are there no false murder cases? There are. Are there no false kidnapping cases? There are. Are there no false theft cases? There are. But nobody says that the murder law should be changed. Or it is bad to file false theft or murder or rape or whatever charge. But the problem is when women file charge cases, there are two cases. One, they are unable to prove that it was a false case. And the second is that it was actually a false case. And these are two very separate things. But they come under the process that the man was acquitted. And then people say that, this law is unfair. No, the law is not unfair. The law was made because society was unfair. And there are many laws which are being misused. But somewhere these laws are coming into forefront more because this is the first time it is an offense by a woman against a man. Otherwise, the theft is committed majorly. Who are criminals? Majority criminals. They are men. Who are majority murderers? They are men. So nobody is saying there should be no murder law. Nobody is saying there should be no theft law. But everybody is saying there should be no law against marital issues. And don't forget, marital rape is still not an offense in India because of this very fear that, women may misuse it. But nobody is addressing the fact that because you don't have a law, men are going around raping their wives. And I'm telling you, there was this YouTube video I was watching where people were being asked what do you think about marital rapes, and it was being conducted in central Delhi near CP, Connaught Place. It's a very good area, and the answers that you were getting were shocking. Men were saying that she's my wife. If she does not agree, I will do it to her the way I want, and she'll get beaten up at the wrong places, at the private parts if she doesn't do it. So nobody is talking about an unequal society. Of course, there are false cases, and I completely am not okay with it. But should the law not be there? It should be.
Ma'am, can you please tell us the link of video or the detail of video?
Priyam, I think it was okay. It was Samdesh Bhatia's video. The channel's name I'm forgetting. It was
No, he is quite famous. If we search on YouTube, we can easily find.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you
yes.
so
The
much.
Quint, I think the Quint.
No, I think it was either the Quint or the Quint had covered Haryana. Goodness, that's also a very good video. The Quint had covered Haryana, but Samdesh had covered Delhi. And the answers you will feel very disheartened after watching the video. Samdesh Bhatia's video, the earlier channel he was working with, and you will find it. It's a 3-4 year old video. I think you must. Anybody who thinks these laws should not be there must watch it.
And ma'am, women who falsely accuse, they eventually get caught up.
Yes, they do, but Gurnas, there they don't get punished accordingly. That is a thing. In India, in US, if you lie to the court in any form, you get punished accordingly. Even lawyers do. But in India, we get away with filing false affidavits. In India, forget women. Anybody who can give anything in evidence, and the courts are usually not inclined to punish them. That is something we lack as a country and the legal system.
Good evening, ma'am. May I ask you a question out of the way? Like in a live-in relation, they'll have to stay like husband and wife and many other characteristics what you told. But if it's the other way around, that there is a pair which got registered married, they went in for a registry, but they are not staying together even on the from the first day for nearly years. What happens to that?
They are still married. The moment, as you say, the moment हम कहते हैं ना, in Hindus we say जब 7 फेरे हो जाते हैं तो आप husband wife हो, उसके बाद cohabitation की भी need नहीं है. Similarly, once your marriage is registered,
but if it is done with a purpose,
cohabitation is needed. In Hinduism it's not, and a special marriage act में भी नहीं है. Cohabitation का कोई concept नहीं है. Once your requirements are met, once your procedures and ceremonies are done, you are husband and wife.
Man, if it is done with a purpose, like if the youth have gone in for a registry marriage because they want to get their passport or visa done, but they don't stay as husband and wife, what
then
happens?
That's an offense against the state. If somebody files, like you must have seen in other countries, we as a country don't have we are not such strong on the country level that people would want to take citizenship by these methods. But in US and UK, you see people are detained, their marriages are considered null and void, because somewhere marriage ka basic kya hai? 2 adults consenting and they want to live together, husband and wife. So if you say that the ceremonies were not proper, if you say that it was not proper, but as you're saying, they are registered marriages, वो तो valid हैं. अब आप prove करते रह जाओ कि इनका reason क्या था शादी करने का. एंड रूबा
Thank you.
आप ध्यान से देखो इंडिया में कितने लोग करेक्ट रीजन से शादी करते हैं. कोई पेरेंट्स के लिए करता है, कोई बच्चे के लिए करता है. तो
Yes,
रीजन तो
ma'am.
बहुत अलग चीज है.
Sure, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Anyone's left?
Ma'am, I had a question. Good
Yes,
evening, ma'am. I wanted to ask that while you were explaining about the dowry, you told us that अगर gifts लिए जाते हैं in form of dowry. So, ma'am, I wanted to ask, is that punishable if gifts are taken in form of dowry?
Look, there is a thing called customary gifts are not dowry. So if the husband's family is able to prove कि हमारे यहाँ तो ये चलता है, ये तो हमारा कस्टम है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ दूल्हे को चेन चढ़ाना कस्टम है या मिलनी करना कस्टम है, so that is up, the onus is on them, but you have to prove that gift होता क्या है. Gift is voluntary. Gift is what I give to you out of my own free wish, and if it is not voluntary, then of course it is not a gift. So that is the debate you have to answer. You have to fight that this was not voluntary. I was pressured into doing. वो आपके ऊपर है ना, आप उसे गिफ्ट बोलो या ना बोलो, मानो या ना मानो. So if it's not voluntary, it's not gift.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ma'am.
I think first. Okay.
Good
Anyone?
evening, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, what action take for that girl who is unaware that the person whom she is in relation, he is married? If the wife of that husband file a suit against that girl?
Against that girl?
Yes, ma'am.
No. As we discussed, adultery is no more an offense. So, वैसे भी the wife didn't have the right even when the adultery was an offense. The only person the wife can sue is the husband. She can file a divorce case against the husband. The wife has no right to, sue a third party.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I think Tharanya Shri had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you suggest some links related to the legal issues which can be seen in YouTube, or some other links related to legal issues which can be somewhat we can gain through
What
it,
kind
ma'am?
of legal issues?
Ma'am, mainly dealt with women, ma'am.
Okay. So do one thing.
Yes,
Search
ma'am.
my name on YouTube. Advocate
Okay, ma'am.
AsthaChadha. I do make videos for educating women on all these
Okay, ma'am.
aspects.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
I
Okay,
make
ma'am.
both small and long videos. I have a lot of videos available online. You just have to search my name.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
And if you
Yes,
need
ma'am.
anything specific, I'll
मैम
yes,
मैम
please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
कंटेस्टेंट डिवोर्स के लिए कितना टाइम लग सकता है मैम?
प्रियंका, इसका कोई फिक्स्ड आंसर नहीं है. ये 2-3 एस्पेक्ट्स पे डिपेंड करता है. पहला, आपके जो स्पाउस है वो किस लेवल तक इसको कंटेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं. अगर उन्होंने दोबारा शादी भी नहीं करनी, उनको आपके साथ रहना ही है या आपको तंग ही करना है, इट कैन इवन गो अप टू इयर्स, 5 इयर्स, 10 इयर्स, क्योंकि आप पहले फैमिली कोर्ट के पास जाओगे. फैमिली कोर्ट आपकी कोशिश करेगी मीडिएशन कराने की, कि आप लोग बैठ के बात कर लो, और अगर म्यूचुअल डिवोर्स पे जा सको तो आप चले जाओ. अगर वो नहीं होगा तो आप अपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स डालोगे, वो अपने डालेंगे, देन देयर बी प्रोसीजर्स, देन देयर बी आर्गुमेंट. 4-5 साल तो आपको फैमिली कोर्ट पे लग जाएंगे. फिर अगर जो केस हारेगा वो उसने अगर अपील डाल दी तो आपको अपील में 2-3 साल लग जाएंगे. तो आपका 5 से 10 साल कहीं नहीं गए. That is why I always say try as much as possible to go in for a mutual consent divorce. But obviously नहीं हो पाता. A lot of times people want to go for mutual consent divorce because वो time consuming नहीं है और वो cheaper है, even financially better पड़ता है. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज 2 चीजें फंस जाती हैं. या तो प्रॉपर्टी एंड मनी जो शादी में बनाई गई है, या बच्चों की कस्टडी. इन 2 रीजंस की वजह से नॉर्मली डिवोर्सेस टाइमली नहीं हो पाते. एंड सबसे बड़ी बात, ईगोस. जो 2 लोग आपस में एक रिलेशनशिप में है, उनकी ईगो तो रफल होगी ही होगी जब ये रिलेशनशिप टूटेगा. बट सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट जो 2 चीजें फंसती मैंने देखी हैं, दैट इज प्रॉपर्टी एंड चिल्ड्रन. तो जिन केसेस में एज मच एज पॉसिबल अगर हो सके तो म्यूचुअल की तरफ जाने की कोशिश करिए. इफ नॉट, देन इट माइट टेक 5 to 10 years. There have also been cases which have taken longer and less time, but that depends. This is the average. Anyone else?
Ma'am, excuse me. Ma'am,
Yes.
is there any law which says that the parental property will go to the divorcee daughter if the daughter is not employed?
पल्लवी जी,
Yes, ma'am.
जो प्रॉपर्टी लॉज होते हैं ना, दे आर फॉर डिफरेंट पर्सनल लॉज. लाइक हिंदूज आर गवर्न्ड बाय डिफरेंट, मुस्लिम्स आर गवर्न्ड बाय डिफरेंट लॉज. So I'm assuming your question is with regard to Hindu property.
Hindu only. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So in Hindu property, if the property belongs to your parents and if they write a will, you understand the concept of will?
Yes, yes.
So if they write a will, then the property will go as per the will. They want to give it to anybody, even to a stranger they can do it.
Okay.
But if they don't write a will, then daughter, be it unmarried, be it married, be it divorcee, is equally entitled to that property.
Okay.
Once you were born and you became a daughter, you became entitled to that property. Your marital status is not relevant in any form.
Fine. Okay. No, actually, there is an issue. That's why I'm asking. There is an issue. There is a girl
Right.
who, like, she wanted to take divorce from her husband, and in the meanwhile, the case is pending, and the parents they died. So she just wanted to
Parents of the
know.
girl died, no?
Parents of the girl died. So she just wanted to know that she's not getting anything from that side.
No, she will get.
Husband
She has
side,
to
yes.
approach the court. She has to approach the court. She'll get. The brothers might not be giving, but that does not mean the law is not supportive. She can approach the court, but she
Sorry
has to do it in time.
मैम.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Priyam.
मैम आपने विल के बारे में बोला, पर अगर प्रॉपर्टी एंसेस्ट्रल है और फिर भी कोई विल बना के जा रहा है तो
नहीं. अगर एंसेस्ट्रल है तो आपका राइट है ही है, लेकिन एंसेस्ट्रल में भी एक ट्रिक ये होती है. एक तो एंसेस्ट्रल है जब 3-4 जनरेशंस मिनिमम चल रही हैं, फर्स्ट. सेकंड, एंसेस्ट्रल में अगर समझ लो आपने एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी तो बेच दी और उससे एक नई प्रॉपर्टी खरीद ली, तो वो आपकी सेल्फ एक्वायर्ड में आ जाती है. सो देयर आर ट्रिक्स टू इट. बट एनीवे, व्हेन यू आर बोर्न एज अ डॉटर, योर राइट अक्रूड, बट एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी में विल नहीं चलती.
और सेल्फ एक्वायर्ड प्रॉपर्टी में ऐसे रूल्स है कि अगर पेरेंट्स विल बना के जाते हैं तो वो अपनी प्रॉपर्टी किसी के भी नाम कर सकते हैं.
किसी के भी नाम कर सकते हैं. आप अगर आज एक विल बना रहे हो प्रियम, तो आप मुझे भी दे सकते हो, पल्लवी जी को भी दे सकते हो, अपने पेरेंट्स को भी दे सकते हो, अपने बच्चों को भी दे सकते हो. आप किसी को दो.
मैम ये एक तरह से फिर गलत है ना. जैसे हिंदू कोड बिल के बाद ऐसा हो गया कि डॉटर्स को प्रॉपर्टी में आधी राइट है. लेकिन अगर पेरेंट्स ऐसा करते हैं कि वो विल बना के सारी प्रॉपर्टी अपने बेटे के नाम पे कर रहे हैं,
तो प्रियम इसमें लॉ ये कहता है कि गलत तो उन पेरेंट्स के साथ भी है ना, जिन्होंने पूरी जिंदगी काम करके एक प्रॉपर्टी बनाई. अब वो उनकी मर्जी है वो किसे दे रहे हैं. till you are alive and you have made, if I am earning today, तो मैं अपनी चीज किसे दे रही हूँ अपने बाद, वो तो मेरा बैक एंड कॉल है ना. आप ये कह सकते हो कि आपने मुझे पढ़ाया नहीं एज अ चाइल्ड, आप मुझे ये कह सकते हो कि आपने मुझे एक अच्छी लाइफ नहीं दी एज अ चाइल्ड, पर वो मेरे जीते जी, मेरे मरने के बाद मेरे बच्चे क्या कह रहे हैं वो तो मेरी प्रॉपर्टी है ना. तो मेरा पूरा राइट होना चाहिए, मैं किसी को भी दूं.
नहीं, वो मैं पेरेंट्स की मतलब राइट समझ रही हूँ उनकी प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर कि उन्होंने एक्वायर किया है ये, पर फिर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कैसे खत्म हो रहा है. मतलब हिंदू कोड में
खत्म हो रहा है, लॉ कर रहा है, पर आप लॉ आपको भी तो एक डिस्क्रिप्शन दे रहा है ना कि आप अपने तरफ से जो करो. एंड एट द एंड, एज वी सेड, वी आर हियर टू डिस्कस लॉज. अब लॉ है और लॉ गलत नहीं है प्रियम. अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स you have the right to decide. There are people I have made wills for जिनके divorces हो चुके हैं और उनके बच्चे उनके spouses के साथ रहते हैं. So they now don't want to give it to their children. They want to give it to the people who are taking care of them in their old age.
वो सारी चीजें सही है. मैं बस लॉज के बारे में ही बात कर रही हूँ कि पहले ऐसा था कि पेरेंट्स ऐसा चाहते थे कि वो अपने सन को ही सारी प्रॉपर्टी दे. पहले भी ऐसा ही था
जी.
तो अगर अभी भी बहुत सारे फैमिलीज में वो ऐसा नहीं हुआ है कि अचानक से वो सारा थिंकिंग अचानक से चला गया हो, वो थिंकिंग अभी भी है बहुत सारे फैमिलीज में. तो अगर अभी भी वो चाहते हैं तो ऐसा कर सकते हैं.
विल चाहते हैं तो वो अपनी विल बना सकते हैं.
हाँ.
आपके ऊपर है. आप चाहो तो कोर्ट में विल को कंटेस्ट करो कि ये विल गलत है. आप चाहो तो कंटेस्ट करो, आप उनके फॉल्स सिग्नेचर, बेटे ने प्रेशर डाला, बेटे के प्रेशर में आ गए, वो बेटे के साथ रहते थे, उसने एक झूठी विल बना दी, वो आपके ऊपर है, आप 10 साल फंसा दो प्रॉपर्टी।
वो तो एलिगेशन है प्रॉपर्टी फंसाने का, लेकिन मैं बस ऐसा बोल रही हूँ कि लूप होल है एक तरह से, ये एक तरह से
लूप होल है, लेकिन ये लूप होल गलत नहीं है। ये लूप होल गलत इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि आप सिर्फ पेरेंट्स को बचाने के लिए ये नहीं कर सकते ना कि आप किसी पे से भी राइट टू डिस्चार्ज, अब मेरा पैसा है, मैं कहाँ खर्चना चाह रही हूँ, तो मेरी मर्जी है ना, जीते जी। इफ आई वांट टू स्पेंड इट ऑन वही है फिर।
Ma'am, excuse me, just to continue with the previous question. Just now she asked that what about her son and daughter? He is a divorcee, she is not working, parents are dead, she is dependent on others, and what about her son and daughter? Can they ask the property, can they claim the property of their father or not?
Of their father?
Yes.
The divorced, the father
divorce, yes. That is still pending.
The mother has divorced the father, the children have not divorced the father.
They have the right.
Yes,
on the property
absolutely. Once you are born to parents, you have the right to their property. If the parents have divorced, the children have not divorced.
No, as you discussed about the will, suppose that person will write will on somebody else.
Yeah. But that is once that person is no more. वो तो देखो,
no. If the person is alive and he has divorced his wife, but he has, suppose son or daughter, somebody is, they are still existing, he is not interested to give his property to his wife, okay, but he is writing some will that I am not interested to give the property to my daughter, son, neither to my wife. In that case, what will happen?
Okay, I'll make a little bit of a chart for you.
Okay.
A person is there. That person has two types of property. One is which is self-acquired. Okay. One is which has come down from
ancestral. Okay.
So with regard to self-acquired property, you can do anything with it. You can put it to fire. You can give it to a stranger. You can give it to anybody.
Okay.
You can even donate it. With regard to ancestral property,
yes,
there it will go according to the Hindu law.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
उसमें आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते.
I got your point. Yes.
लूपहोल है, उसमें भी लूपहोल है. आप अपने जीते जी उस प्रॉपर्टी को बेच के दूसरी खरीद लो. उस पैसे में थोड़ा बहुत.
So then it becomes acquired. Then it becomes
self-acquired. That's the
reason. So there is nothing. Nobody can claim actually.
Don't forget. Don't think there's nothing. You know this fact because I've told you today. There's a concept called will. You know how many? What is? How many?
No, actually, ma'am, I'm talking on behalf of a lady. She's still working in an institution here. That's why, yes.
So you tell her. How are we so sure that her husband has planned this? Secondly, if this lady is the children are minors, then the children are
minor. Both are minor, ma'am. Both are minor.
Entitled to maintenance from their father.
Okay.
Right. So don't, as this is half knowledge.
Yes.
We as laypersons have, this is for your knowledge. This is not for final outcome. For final outcome, there's a lawyer.
Yes.
Right.
So she should go and file a case actually.
She should first consult a good lawyer. Yes. The lawyer will tell her whether she has possibilities of a good case or not. And then only she should go and file. That is something she should do.
Thank you,
ma'am.
You're welcome. Yes, good.
Ma'am, for example, grandfather bought a property and then father sold that property. And with that money, उन्होंने दूसरी प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी.
फादर की.
तो वो प्रॉपर्टी एंसेस्ट्रल मानी जाएगी.
नहीं.
जो एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी को खरीद के.
फादर की. Self-acquired.
Okay.
Gurnaaz, are you a law student?
Yes, ma'am.
Then study. ये बुक से पढ़ना है. ये आंसर्स आपको बिना पढ़े नहीं मिलेंगे. आपको हिंदू लॉ की चार्ट्स पढ़नी पड़ेंगी. These things help you. Such guidances, such seminars help you to know the basics. But these for law students, you need to go in more and more detail. In the next section, when we'll cover, I think the second or the third lecture that I'll take, it will be with regard to family laws. Till then, if possible, Gurnaaz, you read this ancestral and family law concept, and we'll discuss it then.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Right? Anybody is left, Abida?
Yeah, ma'am, I have a small question. If
Yeah,
the husband buy a property for wife
Hmm.
in marriage, and after the divorce, can he still claim it?
There are a lot of technicalities to it. So if the property is entirely in the name of the wife, then the husband can say that these only the name was the wife's, but the entire funds were by me.
Exactly.
So the wife has to contest the case. Yes, funds matter. Funds do matter. A lot of flow of funds do matter. But in real terms, if you ask me, if it's a real case that you're facing, then a civil case is filed and then it goes on for at least 15 to 20 years if fought well. And if you are sitting on that property as a wife, then you get an interim stay and you can enjoy that for the rest of your life with one appeal or the other. But yes, the husband has a right to contest. The husband will show these were the payments made and I had made it. And for one reason or the other, I had used the name of my wife. Obviously, using the name of your wife is a problem. But then they'll say, but don't punish me by taking the entire property away. But has the divorce happened?
I'm sorry?
Has the divorce taken place?
No, ma'am.
So when you are and is the divorce in court?
No, ma'am.
Then why is
It's
there?
just a concern.
Achha, okay. Okay. If that's a concern, then it's a valid concern.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
मैम एक डॉक्यूमेंट
Yes, Priyanka.
हस्बैंड और वाइफ का एक कॉलेज में लॉ कॉलेज में वाइफ पढ़ती थी और उनके पूरे डॉक्यूमेंट एजुकेशनली हस्बैंड ने निकाल लिए तो इंस्टीट्यूट के यहाँ से इंस्टीट्यूट ने 420 और 406 डाल दिए हस्बैंड के ऊपर और अभी फिलहाल उन्होंने वो डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट कर दिए 1 साल के बाद तो 420 और 406 की विड्रॉल कर रहे हैं वो लोग इंस्टीट्यूट वाले, लेकिन हरेस तो वाइफ हुई ना, तो उनको तो कुछ क्या कर सकती है वो रेमेडी क्या उनको अपन दे
अरेस्ट वाइफ हुई? अच्छा, ये थोड़ा सा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा डिविएटेड है कि इंस्टीट्यूट ने केस डाला, हस्बैंड वाइफ का डिस्प्यूट हुआ होगा पहले।
यस
उस डिस्प्यूट के चक्कर में हस्बैंड ने वाइफ के डॉक्यूमेंट्स को इलीगली निकाल लिया।
यस कोविड के टाइम पे
और वाइफ पे केस डाल दिया इंस्टीट्यूट ने कि आपने अपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स या तो सबमिट नहीं करे या हमारे पास थे, आपने क्रिमिनल ब्रीच ऑफ ट्रस्ट कर लिया। करेक्ट?
यस राइट।
और अब सिचुएशन क्या है? द केस इज बीइंग विथड्रॉन बाय द इंस्टीट्यूशन।
यस
ठीक है, अब आप हस्बैंड को करना चाह रहे हो?
नहीं, वाइफ के सपोर्ट से हम वो हरेश हो गई थी, एजुकेशनली उनका लॉस हुआ, 1 साल वो पीछे पड़ी।
वो ठीक है, लेकिन आप केस हस्बैंड पे करना चाह रहे हो इंस्टीट्यूट पे?
दोनों भी, अगर इंस्टीट्यूट अपन को सपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे तो दोनों पे भी डाल देंगे।
देखो, आपको हस्बैंड पे तो आपके पास बहुत सारे ग्राउंड्स हैं, बिकॉज उन्होंने एक्चुअल आपके कुछ ना कुछ तो फोर्ज किया होगा, अगर आपके साइन करके या कुछ करके निकाला। हस्बैंड ने तो आप क्रिमिनल केसेस लगा ही सकते हो हस्बैंड पे। इट्स पार्ट ऑफ क्रूअल्टी ऑल्सो, अगर आप ध्यान से सोचो तो। इट्स पार्ट ऑफ वायलेंस ऑल्सो, आप ध्यान से सोचो तो, इफ यू ड्राफ्ट द केस वेल। इंस्टीट्यूट पे आपको सोच समझ के केस बनाना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज इंस्टीट्यूट तो एक्चुअली उन्हें तो नहीं पता ना आपके हस्बैंड ने निकाले, किसने निकाले, चोरी करी, डाका डाला, उन्हें नहीं पता। उन्हें तो इतना पता है कि हमारे पास डॉक्यूमेंट्स एंट्रस्टेड थे और किसी ने, यानी आपने उन्हें झूठ बोल के या फोर्ज करके निकाल लिया।
राइट।
तो क्रिमिनल केस मुश्किल पड़ेगा आपको इंस्टीट्यूट पे।
राइट।
लेकिन आप अगर दैट इज, आर यू अ लॉयर?
यस मैम।
तो वो आपकी रिसर्च है केस पॉइंट पे। आप रिसर्च करो क्या ऐसे केसेस में पहले इंस्टीट्यूट्स पे केसेस हुए हैं, अगर हुए हैं तो वेरियस जजमेंट्स क्या हैं उसके अराउंड, क्योंकि वो जो आपकी रिसर्च है वो आपके केस के मेरिट्स के बिना नहीं हो पाएगी। दिस इज नॉट अ येस और नो आंसर दैट आई कैन गिव यू नाउ।
ओके मैम।
राइट?
थैंक यू।
एनीवन लेफ्ट?
Yes, ma'am.
यस नेहा जी बोलिए।
मैम, कंटिन्यूइंग कविता मैम्स क्वेश्चन, लाइक अगर वाइफ के पोजेशन में है प्रॉपर्टी तो फॉर मोर देन 12 इयर्स तो एडवर्स पोजेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट अप्लाइड होगा?
नहीं, एडवर्स पोजेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट कैसे? इन 12 इयर्स में या तो आप हस्बैंड के साथ रह रहे होगे उसमें, या हस्बैंड ने कभी ना कभी आपको जरूर बोला होगा कि भाई अगर डिस्प्यूट चल रहा है तो। एडवर्स पोजेशन क्या है? एडवर्स पोजेशन है कि आप किसी की प्रॉपर्टी में बैठे हो और सामने वाला सो रहा है, उसने कुछ नहीं बोला, आपको टोका भी नहीं, आपसे कुछ मांगा भी नहीं, आपको निकलने को भी नहीं बोला। दैट मीन्स उसकी आपकी पोजेशन है लेकिन एडवर्स है। आप तो हस्बैंड वाइफ हो, एक ही घर में रह रहे हो, साथ में रह रहे हो, अगर आपके नाम पे भी है, कभी कभी जॉइंट नेम्स पे होती हैं, तो आप तो को शेयरर्स हो, जॉइंट ओनर्स हो, उन केसेस में एडवर्स पोजेशन नहीं बनता। लेकिन अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स जब केसेस डलने होते हैं इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी पे, तो उनके 12 साल की एक लिमिटेशन पीरियड होता है कि इसके बाद कोर्ट्स एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगी सूट को फॉर सम रीजंस। अब वो 12 साल हस्बैंड के लॉयर पे है, वो कहाँ से बनाता है? फर्स्ट डे ऑफ परचेज से बनाता है, जिस दिन वो घर से निकला वहां से बनाता है, तो वो उसको हम कॉज ऑफ एक्शन बोलते हैं। बट एडवर्स पोजेशन नहीं है हस्बैंड वाइफ सिनेरियो में।
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a doubt, if I may ask.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, as you said that a second wife can't claim maintenance under 125 CRPC, but there is a case of Rameshwaram Dhaga versus Rameshwari, in which the court had said that if the second wife has not financial aid and is not able to maintain herself, then she can claim
on what grounds?
Maintenance from
on what
her
grounds?
husband.
What were the facts of the case?
There was a case that the first husband concealed his first marriage with the second wife, and the second wife, as the law
She was deceived. She was
permits.
deceived into marrying this man.
Sorry, ma'am. Please
She was
repeat.
deceived into marrying this man. She did not know that she was marrying to a
Yes,
married
yes.
man.
He concealed his marriage, first
Correct.
marriage, from
So
her
that
wife.
was what the court must have. These case, you read the facts of the case again, and when you read the judgment, read why the court held what it held in that particular case.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If you want, you can discuss this with me on my WhatsApp later on. You can get the number, right? But that is an exception in every case. And also check, if you're a law student, also check whether this case is being appealed. If yes, then if is it overruled? Check that also.
Okay, ma'am. I'll do it. Thank you.
Okay. All done?
I think we are done, ma'am. It's already 8:07.
Ma'am?
Yes, Gurnas.
Ma'am, can you briefly tell about Section 59 of Transfer of Property Act?
And why that we'll take on the property laws class.
Okay, ma'am.
That
Participants, we still have 1 month of session. This is not the last day.
Today was just an overview. I'm happy that all of you have so many questions even in an overview class. And I hope everybody, yes, Kumkum has a question. Kumkum Tiwari. Kumkum, you can ask your question. Abida, she's requesting to see what the question is. Thank you, Kavita ji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
Ma'am,
so much.
just telling that she's a law student and
is
she doesn't
leaving
have
the
any
session. You are
networks in the
so
legal
good.
field.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Acha, everybody, was the pace okay? Could you people follow? Was it too fast, too slow? Anything?
No,
Yes,
ma'am, it was
ma'am.
perfect.
No, ma'am, it was very
Perfect.
informative, ma'am.
Okay, so I can maintain this pace,
This
right?
space is very good.
Yes, ma'am. We
Yes, ma'am.
thoroughly enjoyed.
Anything you would like to get changed?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, it's good.
Okay, great. Okay, guys, so this is one thing I like because whenever you are in this lecture, just keep your eyes and ears on me. That's it. Any preconceived notion, anything you have in question, you can keep on taking notes, of course. But don't think, okay, this is something I want to ask, that is something I want to. Just write it and then forget it. Then ask at the end. Just keep all your attention on the lecture, you'll get what I'm trying to say. Right? Okay. I think, Abida, thank you so much for being such a good moderator. And thank you everyone for being such a good audience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
For taking the session so well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.